It's a dark, dreary world full of monsters and dangers, all waiting to end the short life of an equally short child protagonist. With such a hazardous adventure ahead of you, and with us running out of ideas to get our in-house challenge guy to do with quarantine still in effect, we turned to your favorite lab rat and told him to make us better at playing one of our newest favorite games, Little Nightmares 2. Warning, spoilers ahead. Hey info fans, time for another challenge, sort of. Today I'm challenged with making you, or at least everyone at the Infographics office that sucks at puzzle platformer games, better at not dying in Little Nightmares 2. I'm a recent fan. I've never played the original and it totally flew under the radar for me, but I'm completely impressed with this game, and if you don't own it, you should. But alright, let's get into the survival and stick around at the end for a compilation clip of a bunch of my deaths and fails. Survival tip number 1. Cardio is life. If you're one of the people who've never played a platform game before, then surprise, because you're in for a lot of jumping, pulling, dragging, and especially running. You better get good at all these activities, because there's plenty of sections in the game where making critical jumps or not sucking at running means the difference between life and death. Take for instance my own introduction to jumping and watch me fail to realize you had to hold the R1 button to hold onto a ledge so you can pull yourself up. Listen, puzzle platformers are not my genre of game, okay? But you better get good at tricky jumps too, with the added difficulty of trying to tell depth in a non-3D world. My advice? Try to get reference points from the environment. There's some rooms with tile floors that you can use as a sort of grid to make things a lot easier. Other times you just have to fail a lot, like me. You also have to push and pull objects, though some of them aren't that clear. If you're stuck in a section and you can't seem to progress, look for something to push or pull your way to victory. Check every single handle you can find and try to drag or push every box you come across with the R1 button. Or you can do like me and spend an entire minute trying to get stupid 6 to give you a boost only to realize you were supposed to pull out the drawer to a chest and hop on top of it. You better get your coordination down with running and jumping, as well as trying to get some sense of depth in a mostly 2D world, because your life literally depends on it. Also, it helps if you don't smack straight into a wall when you're aiming for the door. Survival tip number 2. It's a trap! For some reason, this entire world is hell-bent on capturing children. And while the lore never really explains this and lets us extrapolate our own conclusion, one thing's for certain: if something seems suspicious, it definitely is. That's no moon. It's a bear trap waiting to deliver a horribly agonizing death. Most traps are fairly obvious. If there's a thick patch of leaves, then there's probably a good reason why you shouldn't step on it. Now, you can typically spot an obvious trap because the game will give you lots of subtle hints about how to bypass it. Like for instance, providing an absolutely ludicrous amount of pine cones when you haven't seen a single one yet. Gee, I wonder what they could be used for. Or by giving you an obvious walkway that keeps you off the floor. Anyone who's ever played the game The Floor is Hot Lava should see that the traps are coming a mile away. Of course, you could just be like me and have a morbid curiosity about what would happen if you walked into one of those traps. Also, make sure you watch out for baited traps. Video games have hardwired us to look for things obviously out of the ordinary that we can grab, because those things are typically useful later on. Fall prey to this instinct in Little Nightmares though, and you could find yourself on a one-way ride to the Grim Reaper, or get stupid lucky like me. Or not so lucky other times, because clearly I didn't learn my own lesson. Then again, there is a thing called dumb luck, for a very good reason. Never hurts to also look up occasionally though. Survival tip number 3. Stealing is good. As in most survival games, you want to be a kleptomaniac. If something looks like it can be taken, take it. And don't let your morality give you much trouble over it. Matter of fact, in one of Little Nightmares 2's biggest weak points, there's rarely if ever consequences for you taking things even when it looks downright scary. All I'm saying is that was a golden moment for a good scare and to add some tension. But as you'll see while playing the game, while there are very terrifying moments of adrenaline-pumping action and horror, these are highly scripted and almost always predictable. When I started playing, I was sneaking around everywhere and cursing whenever I accidentally knocked over a cup or kicked a shoe. However, it became quite clear that outside of specific instances, you're free to throw, kick, and steal anything you like. One of the detriments of this game, in my opinion. Survival tip number 4. Sometimes you really do have to be sneaky. Pretty sure this one's obvious to anyone who's ever played a Metal Gear Solid game, but while for most of the game you're free to run around and make as much noise as you want, you better sneak when the game tells you to. The general rule is that if you can hear or see a monster around, it's time to hit that crouch button and slow walk your way to the destination. Oh, and stay out of the light. Duh. Also, moving slowly isn't the same as moving sneakily. Along the same vein of being sneaky, sometimes you gotta find a good spot to hide. The game will make it obvious when you're supposed to hide. if you actually pay attention to the background. Look for boxes lying on their side completely filled with shadow, or open cabinets that are dark inside. Trust me, finding a good hiding spot is absolutely necessary. I don't want to tell you how many times it took me to figure out that you're supposed to hide inside boxes. Seriously, just get in the damn boxes. Survival tip number 5. Teamwork makes the dream work. You start the game by rescuing Six, your compatriot in this adventure, through a hellish, twisted pale city. Six is a good friend, and you make sure you rescue her every time she gets into trouble. In exchange, she's there to give you a friendly boost, a helping hand, and never ever betray you completely out of the blue. Sorry, still got some PTSD from a certain section of the game. Anyway, look for opportunities for Six to help you leap across wide chasms or give you a friendly boost up onto ledges that are just out of reach. Survival tip number 6. Learn to aim. Little Nightmares 2 is what's known as a 2.5D world, meaning it's not quite 3D, but it's not quite 2D either. There's an amount of depth to each scene, but the camera never really moves in a way to let you explore the area in 3 dimensions. This is a bit of a problem when it comes to aiming. My advice is to use things like the grid-like pattern of tiles on the floor to orient yourself, or try to pick out objects casting shadows that are on the same x-axis to try to figure out how deep you are in the scene. Given that the game includes many fast-paced action sequences where you need to be very accurate with attacks or aiming things, you better figure out fast how to aim. Or you can do like me and almost quit your writing job because you couldn't get past a single scene. By the way, I did this scene over 15 times before finally winning the fight, as you'll get to see here. Sometimes the game will give you cues that let you know you're aiming in the right direction, like when you have to throw things to activate buttons too high up for your tiny arms to reach. Look for mono looking up as you approach a button, and you know you're in the right spot to throw an item and activate a switch. Let's talk about the flashlight for a second. Flashlights are great survival items. They light up the dark and let you see where you're going, as well as showing you if any monsters are waiting to eat you up. However, its greatest use in Little Nightmares 2 is not to navigate. After all, this entire game is about you on a long journey to the right, but rather stop mannequin monsters in their tracks inside the hospital level. And if you're bad at aiming that flashlight, there's gonna be dire consequences. My advice is to use a mouse and a keyboard for the flashlight segment, and you probably know exactly which segment I'm talking about. Unless you're a whiz with a controller, aiming accurately with the flashlight to stop hordes of mannequin monsters in their tracks is gonna be a nightmare. The precision of a mouse, though, will make this one section of the game a breeze, further proof that PC is truly the master race. Survival tip number 7. It's always hammer time. There's lots of discarded trash lying around in the world of Little Nightmares. From loose shoes to balls of wadded up paper to glass cups you can have fun smashing with zero consequences. Seriously, real missed opportunity for causing enemies to be alarmed by all the sound you're making. However, there's 3 items that are definitely not trash, and definitely not an accident when you come across them. If you see a pipe, an axe, or a hammer, you pick that bad boy up and get ready for clobbering time. Because odds are you're going to face something that really needs a hammer to the face, whether a small clay child or a stubborn obstacle. Special note about fighting hand monsters, because you'll eventually end up fighting 2 of them at the same time, and they can be some of the most annoying encounters in the whole game. I don't want to talk about how hard I failed at this encounter, but eventually I discovered a strategy that made the fights against hand monsters a breeze. As hand monsters prepare to leap on you, they'll pause and flex their fingers, then leap in the direction the hand is facing. Now the hand monster will stop tracking your movement as soon as it prepares to leap, so simply move up, down, left, or right from the hand monster as it prepares to attack, and it'll miss you completely, leaving itself vulnerable for a good smashing. And we mean killing it, not what our British friends across the pond might mean by that expression. Odds are they've got their own hand monsters, and only hand monsters for that. You can consider that sick burn the last shot of the Revolutionary War. Last survival tip: walk away. Seriously, just walk away from the game when you've died one too many times to the same mechanic you can't quite nail down. The autosave feature in Little Nightmares is fantastic, and sometimes you gotta cool off before going at it again. That's it, our survival guide for Little Nightmares 2. Follow those basic tips and you'll be beating what's definitely one of the better games to come out in recent years, and my favorite sorta survival horror experience since Silent Hill. Now enjoy a compilation of a bunch of my deaths, and trust me, this is only when I happen to be recording and but a fraction of my total deaths.